Welcome. Welcome back. That's right. The man missing in action. Your whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Mind. Welcome to 2019 edition to the show. That's right, y'all. I've been fighting to get back on. Y'all wouldn't believe what it takes to get a show off. You wouldn't believe the all kinds of interference and things that prohibit Mr. Blows Your Mind from trying to do what he does, which is try to provide some, media information, life information, history information. So I'm glad to be here, and those who might be present that are my subscribers, I want to thank you. And hopefully this year, 2019, as we grow, hopefully, again, unless stuff is happening in the background that I'm trying to do to get this channel back on this track, that they're trying to prohibit me, and I guess you know how that is. So I want to say Happy New Year's to you, right? 2019, and many more. Again, you got another digit on your tombstone. Passerbys, welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of the internet, right? You don't know why I say that, but if you stay here long enough, you might find out. Again, you can go down the aisles, check in to see if you see something you like, go down the aisles, pick something, hit that like button, hit that dislike button. You can even put a comment and say what you don't like about Mr. Blow Your Mind or the show entirely, right? Agents, yeah, we conversating in the background. Your boss, I got to tell him, I think this is deliberate. It's intentional, but you're doing your job, and I have to do mine. All right, 2019, you too, right? All right, so let me get my spiel out the way. Hello and welcome to the Black Minds News. I'm your host, your whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Mind. This channel is to report, transmit, communicate, re-articulate, decode, unveil, spread the news, whether it be by news, video, spread, by publications or whatever I get it from, right? I ask that the creator of the universe be here, mind, whole, and spirit, right? That's what we always ask again, because the truth don't need no partner, right? Truth is by itself, right? Right? And as a descendant of the descendants of slaves, we in what they call the 1619 400. We're going to go what they say. Again, we're going to take what they say. But anyway, over here, we give honor to our ancestors because they created the greatest country from the greatest people who gave the world whatever they think they got. It started from right here. And you know what my motto is? I ain't going to tell you what I heard. I'm only going to tell you what I know. Now, 2019, goodbye to 2018. Hope that 2019 should bring some prosperity and changes. Again, a lot of people say that 2019 is going to bring a lot of changes because, again, we're on the verge of this super moon coming, right? Got the super moon coming, right? So, that's an omen to some and it's a change for others. Depending on what side of the line you are on, we will see as time goes on who that affects the most, right? So let's see what I got going. Let me get this show started off because this time I'm trying to, again, man, I try to not make promises that I can't keep, but again, you don't see the things behind the scene that keeps Mr. Blows Your Mind from putting on the show. I had a show I actually prepared for New Year's, but if I went through the whole litany of stuff that had transpired, you wouldn't believe me. So it took a day or two to here it is the third day. It took me 3 days to get you where I am today. So hopefully you appreciate what I do. Let me look out, see, and make sure everything is copacetic in the crowd. I got a couple people in the house. Let me see who up in the house. I got Abdul Kabir. Keep it 400, huh? Keep it 400 for sure. Yeah, early show. Yeah, yes, sir. Fresh. I had to do an early show because again, I can't. You know what they say? Let's see how they put that. Telegraph. Like when you're playing sports, they say don't telegraph the pass, right? Because if you telegraph, then they set up and they wait for you. So again, I know it's not kind of good to be kind of like not having a set time. But I got to do it for the simple fact because, again, you don't see what's behind the scenes of what it takes for me to get here. as people are starting to slowly come in. Again, welcome to the show, y'all. And let me start this show off with this right quick, since we got maybe some guests in the house. I want you to run away. So check this out. Check this out, y'all. All right, let me set it up. Now, you know, things been happening. There's always some stuff going on in this land that we call the United States. So what happens when you on your job, right? You know where I'm going. You know you're on your job, right? Somebody coming in, right? And you know what some people do, especially people from other sides of the equation. They like to think that they can pull your card because they know there's a boundary. You know, there's a mysterious element of spirit that prohibits people when you at work, that customers can actually go beyond the boundaries, right? And test you. Walk all over the line. I dare you. I wish you would, right? But what happens when the customer decides to cross the line and get physical? Huh? I hope y'all caught it. It's out there. You know I got to play it. I got to start the show off right for 2019. Because you got to eat this one, baby. All right, here we go. See if we can get it going right, popping. Let's get it going. See if we're going to get it off. See what they're going to do.
It was the last straw for a Bay Area McDonald's worker. An irate customer complaining about a missing straw at the drink counter grabs the worker by her shirt, and she fights back. News Channel 8's Jamel Anaya is joining us live from that McDonald's. It's on 34th Street. And Jamel, I know you have some video of this. We just saw some of it there, and it resulted in an arrest.
Oh, good evening. You know, this was the straw that broke the camel's back in this case. You know, that witness who took this video says this argument escalated so quickly, she pulled out her camera and rolled on his bad behavior. A smackdown between Daniel Taylor and McDonald's employee Yasmin James has over 2 million views. Brenda Bianduti was in the restaurant waiting at the counter when she says Taylor started yelling because there were no straws at the drink station.
Looks like somebody's not doing their job up in here.
She says he then moved towards James.
The young lady behind the counter told him that it's the law now, we're not allowed to have straws in the lobby, but you can request one.
When words were exchanged, that's when Bianduti took out her phone and hit record. Seconds later, Taylor yanked James by the shirt, and James, a former boxer, struck back with a McVengeance.
She started defending herself. She started hitting him, and then the other employees came from behind.
After several blows, they're pulled apart. Police say Taylor kicked another employee in the stomach before being thrown out. Bianduti says she never thought her video would go viral, but it was more important for police to find Taylor.
I absolutely did not, and I didn't even want it published until I found out that the guy had not been arrested.
And we're told that she is working today, but she can't comment because of McDonald's policy. Now, as for Taylor, he was arrested. He was captured a couple blocks away from this McDonald's. He's charged with 2 counts of simple battery, and he remains behind bars. In St. Pete, Jamel Anaya, News Channel 8. Investigators want to know how a lion escaped from an enclosure before killing an intern at a wildlife.
It's time. All right there, right? So, starting off with 2019, right? All right, let me give you that article for that first. So it says, McDonald's customer worker fights over straw caught on video. That's right. You know I'm going to say that again. McDonald's customer worker fights over straw caught on video. This is done by CBS News. Today's date being January 3rd, 2019, and this is how it reads. A man is under arrest after authorities say he grabbed the shirt of a Florida McDonald's employee and tried to pull her over a counter on New Year's Eve. The employee responded by punching the customer several times in the face at the St. Petersburg restaurant. A witness who posted video on Facebook said the fight started when the customer asked for a straw. The reason he got angry wasn't clear. St. Petersburg police said the video showed Daniel Taylor, 40, grabbing the shirt of Yasmin James, 20. James fights him off while managing to deliver multiple punches to and near his face. After the attack, the suspect points his finger at the worker, demanding she be fired as the manager finished preparing the customer's order. "I want her ass fired right now," the suspect said in the video as a manager reads his receipts, right? While other workers clean the mess from the fight. "You're fixing to go to jail," the employee responds. Taylor kept screaming at workers while he was being escorted out of McDonald's management, and he kicked another employee who was standing near the door in the stomach, police said. Short time later, there was a report of an unarmed robbery at a Shell station, says CBS Tampa affiliate and WTSP-TV. When officers arrived, they recognized Taylor from the video and arrested him. Police said Taylor was charged with 2 counts of simple battery for grabbing James and kicking the other employer or worker. Taylor is white and James is black. Starting this year, anyone who wants a plastic straw in St. Petersburg has to ask for one, WTSP notes. Next year, plastic straws will be banned there altogether. Taylor is being represented by the Public Defender Office, which didn't respond to a request for comment. Our highest priority is always the safety and well-being of our employees and customers at our restaurant. We have been in contact with the police department and are fully cooperating with their investigation, McDonald's said in a statement. Well. Oh, Daniel. Huh? Oh, Daniel was asking for that old school. Remember that old school commercial? Give me a 2 all-beef patty, special sauce, pickles, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions. Huh? He got caught up with that 2-piece, boy. She was giving it to him. She was giving you the benefit of the doubt. Huh? She was giving it to you. See, that's the thing. See, some people think because you at work, right, that you have this mitigated gall to just degrade the individual, because again, you know, there's a line that they can't cross, because again, they got to think about their job, and you know, they come to get sued, I'm fired, I got bills to pay, people dependent on me. So you know what I'm saying, again, kind of like being customer service. I can call you on the phone and cuss you out, say your mama, your dog, and all that, and you just have to take it, otherwise you do things behind the scene. But in this case, when the customer comes and becomes physical in a physical confrontation, then everything's off. The hat's off, baby. Shh, little James. See, that just goes, hey, look. If anything that video showed you, do you know why I must make technology? Because we got them from, what was it say? 5 to 50 or 5 to 80 blind, crippled, crazy, all can throw some of them. You might find a couple more that can't do that, but again, if you want to go from nation to nation, you're gonna have to have that weaponry, because we got them in our cards too. We got sisters like that. Huh? You would not expect, you thought you was gonna ragdoll her, right? You thought you was gonna come on, ragdoll her. She was ready. She was smack, she from the smack. That's a black American on 400 years. You gonna pull that on? Look. You just happen to be passing by. Let me tell you something, white folk. 1619. 1619. Niggas ain't. What? She told homie that was trying to grab her, don't grab me, grab him. While I'm steady giving him some of these shots to the mouth. And you see they try to downplay it. Well, he didn't. No, he got mollywop. You understand? And if it wasn't for that sister, now again, let me say this again. When you in situation, y'all see that and you got them phones, pull that damn phone out. Because if that phone wasn't there, let's say that somehow McDonald's camera not working and nobody videotaped it, then it's going to be his white word versus this sister's word. Based on what he did, we know if that had been me and you in having that kind of situation, what was going to take place. So again, you know what I'm saying? He got the 2 all beef patties with that special sauce. Put a little extra cheese on that and everything. He got it all. And he going to jail, right? So we'll see how that develops as time goes on. But we want to give that shout out to the little sister, right? That little sister did what she was supposed to do. Jasmine James. That's right. You know what I'm saying? See that you know, again, as I got something in this show that as we go on again about this mentality that some people got. They think that they could just do what they want because they're free. I'm free to do what I want. Oh, Yasmin said, you can do all you can do, but the minute you cross on my square and touch me, all bets are off. Well, again, commended to Jasmine James. And matter of fact, also that sister who did the video, right? That sister that sat there and put that video that now has gone viral, again, you know, we want to give our hats off to her as well, right? Now, moving on. Now, again, I got in my repertoire here. Let me check here again, because, you know, I be, you know, coming up with stuff as of again. Well, how about this? All right, let's do this, right? So we're talking about being at work, right? Now, again, we in 2019. We in 1619. They claim that we first 20, again, first 20 that is being counted in the history, right? That they're talking about in Virginia. We know, again, those who know history, it didn't start in 1619. But I'll talk about that a little later on, as you've seen in some of the previews that you've seen in the what they call that, whatever it is, you know, the picture you've seen out there, right? So check this out. Again, we talking about work. So what about this? Think about this. You go to work. Just like last time when we did the show, we talked about the police officer. Built that up, first day at work, bam, gone. What about this one? Maybe you heard this one, right? This one here went to work. Let me show it to you. I ain't gonna talk about it. Let me let you see it first. Moving on. Let's get it. I'm gonna play it. Let's see how it works. Let's get it. Let's go.
To know how a lion escaped from an enclosure before killing an intern at a wildlife conservatory in North Carolina. 22-year-old Alexandra Black was helping clean out the big cat's quarters yesterday when she was attacked. Janet Shamlian is outside the Conservators Center in Burlington, about 50 miles northwest of Raleigh. Janet, good morning.
Good morning. This is a horrific incident, and the Animal Refuge Center is now closed until further notice. The question that investigators are trying to answer, how did this lion get out of what handlers say was a secure and locked area? This is Mathai. The lion the Conservators Center in North Carolina says somehow escaped a locked area before attacking Alexandra Black, an intern who'd been there only 10 days. It happened alongside a trained animal keeper during a routine cleaning of the lion's cage.
There were visitors on site, but we used our established safety protocol to ensure a safe and immediate exit from the animal park.
Handlers tried to tranquilize the male lion several times, but eventually were forced to shoot Mathai to remove the young woman's body. She was 22. Alex, as friends called her, recently graduated from Indiana University Bloomington and hopes someday to be a zookeeper. Her broken-hearted family calling this her fourth internship working with animals, saying she was a beautiful young woman who had just started her career. She died pursuing her passion.
I can't imagine the loss they're enduring. I can't imagine what it must feel like to be them. We only knew this person a short time, and obviously it was already devastating for us.
The 10-acre refuge is home to more than 80 animals, including more than a dozen African lions, many rescued from poor conditions. Workers typically interact with the big cats daily through feedings and maintaining their habitats.
We're all still processing. This is not a situation we've ever had before. Any sort of incident like this is devastating to everyone, and we need to understand it.
The Conservators Center said it is cooperating with the investigation, but that it has never had anything like this happen here. Meanwhile, Alex Black's family is asking for donations in her honor to another animal refuge, Wolf Park in Battleground, Indiana. Michelle?
Tragic. Janet, thank you.
All right. So we had this situation again. Let me give you the article before I get it out. Lion escape. Locked area at North Carolina Center kills 22-year-old intern. You know I'm going to say that again. Lion escapes. Locked area at North Carolina Center kills 22-year-old intern. This story was done in USA Today, and this is how it reads. It says, Anderson, North Carolina, an animal keeper at a zoological park about 50 miles from the state capital, Raleigh, was killed Sunday when a lion got out of a locked space and attacked a teen cleaning its enclosure. Conservator Center, a 45-acre wildlife park in rural Caswell County, said Alexandria Black, a 22-year-old intern, was killed instantly. Caswell County Sheriff Deputy then tried to tranquilize the lion but failed, so the animal was killed to allow emergency personnel to retrieve Black's body. Sheriff Tony Darden Jr. said in a statement, Black was a native of New Palestine, Indiana, about 100 miles north of Indianapolis, and a recent graduate of Indiana University. She had been working at the center about 2 weeks, Darden said. The center did not immediately return a call for information from USA Today. A professionally trained animal keeper was leading the cleanup, Conservator Center officials said. The animal park has not applied for accreditation from the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, which makes available example practices to its members to ensure the safety of staff and guests. On Friday, the center on Friday had tweeted about its 15 African lions. Its 15 African lions, including a very special lioness. This photo perfectly shows off her interesting mane. Didn't know female lions could grow manes. Like James, huh? The name of the lion that was shot and killed was not immediately released. The Conservator Center was founded in 1999 in Mebane, North Carolina, according to its website. 2 years later, the center relocated to Caswell County and opened to the public in 2007 with its first guided walking tour. The center is the home to more than 80 animals and 21 species. It employs more than a dozen full and part-time workers and also uses volunteers to help with its animals. More than 16,000 people visit the park each year. Law enforcement and Conservation Center officials are investigating Sunday's incident. The zoo will be closed until further notice, and it was uncertain Sunday whether the park's January 5th tree toss, where the animals receive leftover Christmas trees to chew on and play with, will be open for public viewing. Now, again, no one gloats when somebody gets killed. Again, you know what I'm saying? It's life, right? And we make no fun of it. So anybody might think I might make fun. I'm not making fun of the situation. But Cassandra Black, almost, girl. It was almost. You had the name. You had the name. The lions couldn't detect that name. They was only seeing what they seen. And let me tell you something. People thinking that, again, creating these inhabitants, these habitats for animals that have been in the wild, They was African, Everything wants to be free. Everybody, I'm gonna start, give us free. Give us free. And if you give him an inch, he gonna take a yard. If you give him a yard, he gonna take a foot, then he gonna take a yard, right? You know how I go. Take an inch, get a foot, get a yard, right? So somebody left the gate unlocked. They seen what Gail Sayers used to say back in the day, just give me 6 inches of daylight, Give him the handoff and give me 6 inches of daylight, and that's all I need. Well, guess what happened? That was a female, Look at it. Wait a minute. So you don't say she had a mane, and normally manes be on a man. So you trying to say she was a bulldagger ass lioness? Come on, man. Right? They say that's unusual, but again, they're not in their normal inhabitants. So a lot of things is dysfunction, right? You look where we at. We in the West, right? So a lot of things is kind of confused, right? Everybody off balance. So here's a lioness, got a mane like a man. And doing what? She getting that business in like a man. She kind of reminded of why we seen Yasmin James, right? She was like, Now, again, we don't make like that. The fact that the Alexandria Black lost her life, again, no one, again, goes to work thinking that where they go get employed is the day they're going to lose their life, right? But again, you create a fake habitats, and you for your pleasure. But again, You oppressing something that is supposed to be in its naturalness for your entertainment. And you don't think, even in the animal state, that they ain't thinking, boy, if I get a chance, you try to domesticate, you can watch on YouTube, you see all these videos, they got dogs getting beat up by cats and, you know what I'm saying, all kinds of stuff, right? Squirrels, raccoons living in the crib, you got all kinds of stuff, domesticating it. They done lost this mind, don't even know, again, wearing clothes and shoes and all, you understand, just everything off balance. So I'm just saying, 15 was, again, they knew what time it was too. They said, you know what, man, 400 years, 16, 19, boy, if I get a chance to taste some of that, I'm going to tear it, There's another one was a rhinoceros too, right? And then a little boy fell over there with a rhinoceros. I didn't do the story though, but I seen it, right? So, you know what I'm saying? This whole energy is building up because it's like people tired. People tired. Jasmine was putting it in. And if nobody intervened, she'd still be punching him right now. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? So, again, not making light of somebody dying, but we're just saying, being on the other side of the economy of this, being oppressed like that, you are fed up. Right? 400 years, they tell us. But again, those who know history know it ain't quite right in time. But we'll take that since you're going to make that a mark. And we'll talk about it, right? So anyway, that's what took place in North Carolina, right? Young lady Alexandra Black lost her life. All right. Let me see, make sure I'm sounding good out there. Everything good out there, y'all? Everything good? Hit that like button, comment button, whatever you want to do out there. It's all good. Digital King, peace, fam. You on your break, so I'm going to catch the rest of the show when I get off. Okay, brother, it's all good, man. I appreciate that you even stopped by for a minute, man. And again, I appreciate that you come over and check me out. Anybody else that's coming by, hit that like button, comment, say what you don't like or whatever. It's all good over here. I don't block nobody. Your opinion is as good as mine, right? I ain't soft like that. Now, if you want to get into some talk, I can give you the phone number. We can get it in right live. It's all good. 2019, we getting it in. So anyway, moving on. So I seen this story here, right? And, I can't really find the background to it. Maybe somebody in here might know what it is. But again, let's put it this way. Let's say you somewhere, right? You just happen to be, you out and about, right? The way things is these days, you could be anywhere and shit pop off. You know what I mean? Shit pops off, right? You could be on the bus. You could be on the train. You could be paying a bill, right? And it pop off. What you gonna do? Well, something had happened up in New York State. In Guilderland, what they call Guilderland Police. They just released this video about some stuff that took place. I'm trying to look for the article on it. Couldn't find no article on it, but maybe somebody here might know more to the story. I'm trying to find it, but again, it's about the police release, and it was a mass scramble as the gunfires pop up. But let me show it to you first. Come on back, and then again, just from observation on this one. Don't really have a storyline, so check it out and be right back. So ain't really no sound, so we're just gonna see. See everybody just standing around in there? It's at an Apple store, right? Let's peep how this take place.
Mexican authorities are urged to conduct a full investigation into the case of a newly installed mayor who was shot dead.
All right, so let me see if I pull that up, because I'm looking, I see that we're talking about the Apple, right? Don't have nothing anybody see. Don't say, okay, here it is. There you go. Got it. All right, so I did find it. All right. Let me go ahead and read on the spot. See, we do live over here. Ain't nothing premeditated over here. So you getting everything live as I get it. So ain't no premeditate on this. So again, it goes, it says that New York Apple Store gunfire triggers panic video shows. You know, I'm going to say that again. New York Apple Store gunfire triggers panic video shows, as you just seen, right? And this was done, well, this is June 28th. What are they talking about June 28th? This can't be the right one. No, that would say June 28th. Hold on, no. No, we need the most recent one. See, they hiding that, huh? They're hiding that story, y'all. For some odd reason, I guess they don't want that kind of publicity on it, because that one says 2017. So I don't have, let's see here, say, well, okay, move. No, they don't have nothing on that. It's funny, right? See, when corporations like that are so big, they don't want that kind of negative publicity, right? And so you can't even find a story. What's the background? Does anybody, let me look in the article. Maybe somebody know anything. Let me look at, does anybody know about what happened with that? Does anybody know what took place with that? Anybody heard about that? Maybe, okay. No, nobody knows? Nobody knows, right? Okay. So again, I'm going to just play the video again as you've seen. Now, again, you in a situation like that and gunfire go off. Now, you seen people moving and running and trampling and all that stuff and trying to hit the phones and stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, man, I mean, people got to be very observant and apprehensive about everything. You know what I'm saying? People are frigidity, right? Because again, you know, the Republicans is out here doing all kind of craziness. And so you don't want to get caught with your pants down, as they say, right? So, you know, you got to be always kind of like, you know, some animals that just frigid. The moon, you move, they move, and you got to be quick with it, right? You got to be agile. So it's just kind of funny. Again, I'm going to look to see if I can find some on there. But again, I done looked it up. Even before the show, I can't find nothing on this story. Again, this was up in New York State when they talk about the gunfire, but this one is saying June 28th. So it can't be, hold on, I mean, why would they, let me see something. Hold on. Okay, this might be it. Oh, maybe the case just came up. Okay, maybe that's what it was. Okay, so here it goes. It's saying Gunterland. Okay, so let's see. It says, new video released Tuesday shows the panic that ensued after a gunman opened fire at an Apple store in New York Mall last November. The gunman, identified as Tashim Mayweather, opened at the Crossgate Mall in Gunterland, northwest of Albany on November 12, 2016. Surveillance video show employees in red shirt and shoppers dashing under the seat, running towards the back of the store. Some people even got trampled. Mayweather was found guilty of reckless endangerment. He was sentenced last Friday to 3.5 to 7 years in prison. He was also already serving 9 years in prison for unrelated drug charge. What do you mean he was already serving? Mayweather will not begin serving his sentence for the Apple Store shooting until he finishes that stint. So they were trying to keep him in there. Okay, so that was an old story that I guess something just manifests. Again, they just showed just releasing the video. Right? They catch all the stuff. So okay, anyway, we're gonna move on. Now this one here, I'm gonna talk about here. Again, we ain't get too deep on that because I got a lot of stuff other to do in here. All right, so again, you know, Mexico's always been in the news here, right? Because again, you know, that whole thing about the government being shut down, trying to force motherfuckers to come on, get the people to pay for the wall. But you know, you can't pay. You say, oh, Mexico going to put up the wall, right? Everybody was cheering, you know, people that were supporting that, right? But again, Mexico has been trying, right, to elect people in positions so that they could try to eradicate some of the riffraff and the damn, you know, let's say, street elements that is causing a lot of chaos that's really pretty much running. Because again, if you've been following a little bit of the El Chapo case, right, you just see how deep, you know, when you're talking about corruption, they say, man, boy, you know, when you got money, right, money can infiltrate all kinds of places, all in the crevice and every facet that touches it, right? So I was seeing this story again, something that just took place yesterday, but there's been a little history. So I'm going to show you going back 2 years ago, then the year after that, and then this year. Look what then took place over there. They about that life. Hold on, check this out, y'all.
Mexican authorities are urged to conduct a full investigation into the case of a newly installed mayor who was shot dead.
Hey, do what you're supposed to do. What's all this stuff you're doing? Where my picture at? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, hold on, y'all. Here you go. Check it out. Here we go. I'll find a lot of elements over here.
Mexican authorities are urged to conduct a full investigation into the case of a newly installed mayor who was shot dead while on his way to a town hall meeting. Meanwhile, the United States questions Russia's move to detain a retired U.S. Marine in Moscow on spying charges. Eileen Cerudo tells us why.
In Mexico, a mayor in Mexico's southern state of Oaxaca was gunned down on Tuesday, just hours after he was sworn into office. According to reports, Alejandro Aparicio from the town of Chalhaco was killed whilst on his way to the town hall for a meeting. Another official injured in the attack later died of his injuries. A man has been arrested in connection with the killing, with authorities reportedly believing the suspect to be the only person linked to Aparicio's death. However, locals are calling for a full investigation into the murder, believing others to be involved. In Brazil, the United States wants an explanation on why Russia detained a retired U.S. Marine on spying charges in Moscow and will demand his immediate return if it determines his detention is inappropriate. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says the U.S. government hoped to gain consular access to Paul Whelan within hours.
We've made clear to the Russians our expectation that we will learn more about the charges, come to understand what it is he's been accused of, and if the detention is not appropriate, we will demand his immediate return.
And in Syria, a convoy of Syrian Kurdish fighters has pulled out of the flashpoint area of Manbij in northern Syria, close to territory controlled by Turkey, Syria's defense ministry said on Wednesday. The ministry released video of dozens of vehicles traveling along an unmade road carrying armed fighters, some waving the flags of the Kurdish-led People's Protection Unit's militia and its female counterpart, the YPG. The YPG is the strongest element in the Syrian Defense Forces, a coalition of militias that the United States has backed in its campaign against Islamic State, helping it capture swaths of North and East Syria. According to information given by the ministry, approximately 400 Kurdish fighters have left Manbij so far. Eileen Cerudo, UNTV, News and Rescue.
In Mexico, running for office can be very dangerous. Video released this week shows a politician being targeted for murder. Here's Manuel Bajorquez.
This surveillance video shows Mexican congressional candidate Fernando Puron posing for a selfie with a supporter after a campaign debate last Friday, when a man walks up from behind, raises a gun, and fires point blank at the back of his head. Puron was running on an anti-cartel platform, which made him a target in Piedras Negras, which borders Texas. He's now one of 113 candidates and politicians who have been murdered in Mexico just since last September. We reached the current mayor of Piedras Negras, Sonia Villarreal, who says her life was threatened just yesterday. No tienes temor, dice. You're not fearing them. No? Wow. ¿Y por qué?
No, mi lucha es contra la delincuencia organizada. O sea, yo no voy a parar ahí.
You won't stop.
Ni así me amenazan, no voy a parar.
Even if it means risking your life.
Sí, no importa.
Doesn't matter. She did put her re-election bid on hold to focus on the investigation into Puron's death. The wave of violence comes as an estimated 15,000 candidates run for the highest number of open government positions Mexico has ever had. The cartels want to eliminate candidates who threaten their ability to kidnap, extort, and smuggle illegal drugs to the world's #1 consumer, the U.S. But they're not just targeting politicians.
We want to find out what's being done to bring about justice.
Last summer, for CBSN On Assignment, we reported Mexico had become the most dangerous country in the Western Hemisphere for reporters. We spoke with Carlos Lauria, who is pushing for better security.
It's impeding the possibility of Mexicans to engage in a public debate of the issues that are affecting the daily life of Mexicans, and it's affecting the stability of the Mexican democracy.
The mayor we spoke with, Sonia Villarreal, planned to start campaigning again today with beefed up security. But a Mexican newspaper puts the number of candidates who have dropped out of races due to threats at 1,000, with the election just over 2 weeks away. John?
Thank you, Manuel.
The newly elected Mexican mayor has been shot dead less than a day after taking office. Gisela Mota was killed at her home in the city of Temexco, south of the capital, Mexico City, hours after taking her oath of office on Friday, police said. Mota, a former federal member of Congress, belonged to the leftist Party of the Democratic Revolution. Temexco General Secretary Carlos Caltenco confirmed 9 gunmen were involved in the attack.
We firmly believe that there were interests to those who felt threatened by her opening speech yesterday, during which she said she was planning to end corruption. We don't have any information about death threats. We don't have any information at this moment because we don't want to discard any line of investigation.
Temexco is plagued by organized crime and rampant drug trafficking problems the slain mayor had vowed to help clean up. More than 100,000 people have been killed or gone missing in nearly a decade of drug violence nationwide.
All right, so give you the story to the background of that. It says Mexican mayor shot dead on first day in office. You know I'm going to say that again. Mexican mayor shot dead on his first day in office. This story was done in the New York Post, January the 2nd, 2018. This is how it reads. The newly sworn-in mayor of a town in Mexico's southern state of Oaxaca was on his way to his first official meeting at City Hall on Tuesday when he was killed by a group of gunmen, according to reports. Alejandro Aprecio Santiago, a member of the National Regeneration Movement, Morena, had just taken office in Tlaxcala when he was attacked. Governor Alejandro Murat promised a thorough investigation and said a suspect was already in custody. 4 other people were wounded in the attack. Maria Asciende Torres Cruz, another politician in the party, President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, was killed Sunday in the state of Morelos. State government announced the death on Twitter, writing "Que en paz descanse," Spanish for rest in peace. Holding public office can be very perilous in parts of the country. Between September 2017 and August of 2018, 175 politicians were murdered, according to counseling firm. Obrador, who campaigned on the platform of restoring order, formed a National Guard and has traveled with light security, riding in Volkswagens with only unarmed citizens providing protection, NPR reported. An analyst by The Economist magazine found that mayors in Mexico were often targeted after they cracked down on corruption and local crime, or because they sided with drug cartels at times and were pursued by their rivals. In Oaxaca, where gangs are weak, mayors have been killed in disputes over land, according to the mag. 175. Did y'all hear that number? 175. They bout that life. A lot of people eating. You know, matter of fact, I'm going to give you, y'all ever seen that movie Enter the Dragon? Remember that movie Enter the Dragon? Remember that scene where John Saxon was the white dude, right? Remember the white dude? And then it was Mr. Han, right? The dude that had the tournament. And remember he had the cat in his hand, right? And he's going to put the cat on the guillotine, told him, you know, many ruthless men, you know, it takes more strength than one nose to be rootless, right? Right? And so, man, it was a point there I was going to make, but it kind of lost my thought for a second. I get it back. Don't worry about it. You know, New Year's, man. So anyway, reason why I brought that up is this. There's a lot of people getting paid off corruption. Matter of fact, there you go. Remember he took him downstairs, right? And then after he fooled him, went downstairs and he was showing him. He said, well, why are you showing me so much? We are investing in corruption. Remember that? We are investing in corruption, right? Oh, I get it. The tournament and that. He's like, yeah, this how you get, right? So investing in corruption is big money. What did it say in the article? What did it say in the video? Who is the biggest consumer of the product that they pushing? Right here where we live at. Maybe that's why somebody trying to put that damn wall up. Think about it. Trying to put that damn wall up because come over here, gonna be a lot of stuff going on, boy, because they bout that. You try to pass some legislation trying to cut somebody's pocket. What? They bout that. 100%. You know how we, again, like I said, we don't condone to laugh about or, you know, make light of anybody being killed. What we saying is this. Can you imagine? From 2017 to September 2, they talking about 175. What? Man, could you imagine that was here? It'd be chaos in this place, man. Right? So it's like, again, man, we know, again, a lot of us live in those environments. So we know, again, if black people ever going to get to the point of trying to clean up their areas, or there's going to be a civil war with black people. Black people who trying to, you know, make some ways to make things better, trying to build future prosperity versus that who trying to keep things in place because, again, that's their business. Remember in the Mac? Remember in the Mac? Remember when the brother and the head, remember he was sitting in the car and say, he's like, hey, man, I got $75,000 riding up in the car, man. He said, and his brother looking at the car and shit, he like, you know, man, he said, man, he said, this ain't my kind of thing, man. He said, here it is, my brother who talking about the people on the street and I'm trying to clean the streets up. He said, ain't nobody gonna close my business. I got a right to live, So here's a brother who was about clean up his people and his other brother was in the street. That's a war. He said, being black don't mean shit, right? That was his mindset, right? Brother was talking about we building organizations. Nobody's putting me out of business, brother. See? So all this we talk about, better remember this, there's got to be a civil war amongst black people. Because you're going to have to get rid of that element in order for one to thrive, one or the other one. And the other one is kind of on the other side when you really put it down. When you think about it, when you really take them a trick and look it back, again, say follow the money trace, you'll find out, right? So I'm just saying, so the same thing here in Mexico is, you ain't fucking with our paper. Anybody come through there trying to take some food off my table, because again, if America, the United States, is supposedly 6 to 5% of the world's population, but are the biggest consumers of, whether you want to call it pharmaceutical drugs or street drugs, however you want to call it, that's business. Somebody relying on you staying like that, right? Again, can't say you didn't hear it from over here on this show here. Hit that like button, hit that disconnect button. Or give a comment. Let me hold something, right? You come over here, you get up on something. See, everybody talk what they talking about. You see that wall over there, Flo? That's what that wall trying to stop, baby. Real talk. Moving on. All right, so what else I got up in here? Well, let's see here. What's this here? Mad Dash, okay, new former. Okay, well, let's deal former. Here. Let me give you some. Let me give you a little bit more politics. You know, I got to put it out there again. My job ain't to go in there and do like some people that want to be all, you know, get in there and give you all that. And then I got to show it to you, give it breakdown in the way that you can get it. And then if you're more interested, you go and do more. And then again, when I open up the phone lines, come on in here and you can come elaborate what you know. All right, so here, check this out. Check this out. I'll be right back.
This morning, the brother of a Michigan man detained in Russia is rejecting Moscow's claim he is a spy. 48-year-old Paul Whelan, a former U.S. Marine, was arrested on Friday, and he was charged with espionage. Jan Crawford is outside Russia's embassy in Washington with reaction to the detention of Whelan. Jan, good morning.
Well, good morning. So Paul Whelan's twin brother David told us that his brother had gone to Russia on December 22nd for a friend's wedding, and the last time he heard from him was last Friday. It was only on Monday and through media reports that the family became aware that the 48-year-old had been detained. Now, in a statement, Russia's Federal Security Services says that officers arrested Whelan in Moscow on Friday while he was on what they said was a spy mission. But all of this is prompting speculation that it's just kind of retaliation, some kind of payback for the U.S. for arresting a Russian woman, Maria Butina, on spy charges. Now, Whelan, since 2017, has worked for a Michigan-based auto parts company called Borg Warner. Most recently, he was director of their global security, and he spent 14 years in the Marines. According to the military, he was discharged back in 2008 for bad conduct related to larceny. His brother told CBS News that Paul Whelan had been to Russia several times before and knew how to avoid trouble. He said it was inconceivable he could be considered a spy.
He has a law enforcement background. He was a former U.S. Marine who served a number of tours in Iraq. He does corporate security. It's the sort of personality that you wouldn't expect to be a lawbreaker of any sort, let alone someone who's breaking spy laws.
Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo just told reporters moments ago that the State Department had requested immediate access to Whelan, and Secretary of State Pompeo said that they also expected his immediate release if this detention proved inappropriate.
All right, Jan, thank you so much.
All right, so we got here, it says former CIA officer doubts American arrest in Russia was a spy. You know, I'm going to say that again. Former CIA officer doubt American arrest in Russia was a spy. This was done by NBC, January the 2nd, 2019. And this is how it reads. It says the ex-Marine detained in Moscow on spying charges does not fit the blueprint of U.S. espionage in Russia, and is more likely a pawn in an effort to seek leverage over the United States intelligence and diplomatic veterans told NBC News Wednesday. Knowing what we know, if we had to make a bet, I would say this is Russian President Vladimir Putin seizing someone on a pretext. Former acting CIA Director John McLaughlin said on NBC's Andrea Mitchell's report. He might think this is a way to set up a spy swap. Paul Whelan, 48, was arrested December 30th on a trip to Moscow that his family said was a setup as an attempt to at a friend's wedding. He had been charged with spying, though Russian authorities have not explained what they allege he did wrong. We are deeply concerned for his safety and well-being, his brother David Whelan said in a statement posted on Twitter. His innocence is undoubted, and we trust that his rights will be respected. The Russian spying charges carry a prison sentence up to 20 years. David Williams said on MSNBC that his brother was part of a wedding party and that the friends who was getting married had asked him to lead tours around the Kremlin because he had been to Russia before. He loves to travel, and I wasn't at all surprised that he would be confident going to Russia. He has a law enforcement background. He's got his Marine background. He does corporate security, and he's aware of the risk of traveling in certain parts of the world, Whelan said. Two former CIA officers with decades of experience spying overseas told NBC News it is inconceivable to think that the former Marine was spying for the United States. We operate in Russia in the strictest, most careful way, said one of the former officers who focused on many years on operations in Russia. Just meet someone requires weeks of planning. In fact, he said spying in the Russian police state is so risky that there are many Russian CIA assets They will only meet outside the country. He added, we cannot justify using an American without diplomatic immunity because if they get arrested, they are just trade bait. Spies working under diplomatic cover simply get sent home if arrested, while those working without it can force decades into prison unless they are traded for a Russian spy in jail in the United States. If the U.S. sent someone into Russia under non-official cover, the second official said it would not be someone with a U.S. military background. It is far more likely, they said, that Russian intelligence service charged Whelan as a spy to use as a bargaining chip, perhaps to offer an exchange for Maria Butina, a Russian national who has pleaded guilty to failing to register as a foreign agent. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, in a notably restrained response, said on Whelan, if it is appropriate, we will demand his immediate return. White House U.S. intelligence agencies have referred all questions to the State Department since Whelan's arrest, and Pompeo's comment Wednesday were the first substantial answer for the United States government. Whelan's case recalls that Edmund Pope, an American businessman and retired naval intelligence officer, who was convicted of espionage by a Russian court in 2000 and sentenced to 20 years in prison, only to be pardoned months later by Russian President Vladimir Putin. Right? Now, again, are we expecting him to tell us the damn truth? Right? If he is what he is, right, are we supposed to say, again, that ain't none of our real, right? We ain't it. We don't, again, that's like somebody in here trolling, right? That's the spy in the world of YouTube, a damn troll. Who is this, right? Who you working for, right? If you could ever catch one, right? That would be funny as hell if somebody ever had caught one. Me interrogate his ass, put his ass on these channels, right? But other than that, when they talk about countries and spies and all, listen to what some of the game was, right? Again, I just read the story again. This for information for those who might want to know, right? But again, look at the game that was inside there. So when you go to another country and you are a spy, it's kind of like John Wick, right? Remember the movie John Wick? When John Wick came, remember when he had to do the marker, right? He had to go to Italy, right? Right? We had to go kill old girl. That was the mark. But remember when he got in China and went to go get his suits and his gun, right? One dude came to him, was like, did you come here to kill the Pope? He's like, no, it's all right, we'll have good business then, right? Because that was the only thing he had to do. They knew he came in town. Everybody knew who he was when he came in town. You can't go. See, that's the way it used to be in the old days. Today, the renegadeism don't have no structure to the game. You could hit anybody just because you felt you feeling some kind of way and boom, 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 right? No repercussions. Back in the day, you had to go through the hierarchy. You can't make that hit without going through to get the okay. You can't just do it. See, even in the big game, look how it works. See, if you get caught up and you a spy, they just send your ass back. If you get arrested, they just send your ass back. Oh, you a motherfucker. Oh, you got caught up, huh? You fucked up, huh? They caught you slipping. Send that motherfucker back to the United States. Send that motherfucker back to Russia, right? Right? It's a game. There's rules of engagement, right? There's a rules of engagement into that game. It ain't just some wild shit. So, again, look at how the game played, y'all. There's rules and regulations how that shit operate. And here's our people out here doing all kind of wild fuck shit with no care in the world and hatred and all. You got to understand how the game move and move accordingly. You understand? Then again, a lot of some stuff wouldn't be happening. Then you could have sit downs and meeting of the minds between the two individuals and work this out. And then somebody don't got to die. You see, even though it's war, but there's still rules and regulations even if you catch somebody, right? They say, okay, well, check this out. We caught one of your boys. You got one of our boys. So what we going to do, we're going to exchange. You give us that motherfucker, we're going to give you this motherfucker. Huh? We good? Everything good. Instead of you tailing, torching, killing them and doing all this fuck shit, they don't do that unless you just, you know what I'm saying? Again, let's just say John Wick. When, again, the Continental was off ground. If you get caught your enemy up in there, like dude said, he said, in this restaurant, he said, you could eat here for a year straight and never eat the same thing twice, right? So he fucking with him, like, can't do nothing to me. I'm right here. You can't even do nothing to me, right? So he keeps antagonizing man. John Wick, like, break the rules, right? And so what happens when you break the rules? Excommunicato, right? So just think about that, people in our environment, the people that you breaking the rule, you excommunicato. You have no safety. There's nowhere for you to hide, right? See, I'm flipping both sides of these stories, right? Lessons to be learned in this. So sometimes it ain't just with that story, it's about stuff about with ourselves, right? So anyway, moving on. Spies, right? In our day, we call them something else. We don't call them spies, right? In our world, they something else, right? Turncoats, coons, all kinds. We got all kinds of names. We don't call them spies, but they are really like that, right? But again, like I said, the battle line got to be drawn. You know, we 2019, right? Right? So anyway, moving on. So let's see what I got in here. What else I got in here? Well, let's see again, right? Let's see. Well, let's see. This here, right? I seen this one here and I was like, well, okay. Always trying again, they're going to propagate, they're trying to make again. We're changing and we're working on trying to make some changes. Well, okay. We hear you. But, you know, they say talking and actions, right? Say, what does it say? Work without actions is, you know, futile, worthless, right? So again, let's look at this here, and then we'll come back. Check this out right quick.
I will always be a recovering racist. I believe that every white person has racism within them.
I have so much implicit bias. It makes me laugh and cry at the same time.
There's this huge sense of guilt and shame along with that, to realize that, wow, I used to think I was this perfect little white person in a bubble that didn't do anything bad to black people, and so I was okay. And I'm actually not that person. It's a terrible realization, I think, but at the same time, like, so needed.
Mm-hmm. They are here for a YWCA workshop called Witnessing Whiteness, where the conversation is about white privilege.
We've historically used people of color to teach us about race, and so what we want is for white people to kind of do their own work.
It's a kind of raw talk that has caught the attention of local educators.
Witnessing whiteness allows for people of color not to have to do that work, and for the accountability really to fall upon white folks. I think white folks have to be the ones who have to do the work in eliminating racism.
For many of the attendees, it's the first time they're talking about race and having frank conversations about their own bias.
I've been curious for quite some time about the concepts of racism.
I had been sort of lower middle class. I'd worked hard for everything I accomplished in my life. And so the idea that there was any privilege associated with being white was a totally foreign concept for me until I participated in one of these groups.
We do mess up, right? And we're humans. And so when we mess up, it's just a human emotion to feel that, right? So I think sometimes we just want to like find a way to like not feel guilty at all.
I agree with that, but I also think sort of white liberal guilt doesn't necessarily lead to action. All these police shootings of black males, I'm thinking there's a reason this keeps happening, and it has to do, I think, with a lot of white people just acting like bystanders, you know, including myself.
I'm not sure if guilty is the right word. Maybe we're all complicit. I'm not sure what the right term is. For me, I don't personally feel directly guilty for that because wasn't the police officer, I'm not in that police department, I'm not a person in that government who could make a change locally.
But did we interview the school board members and ask them about fair treatment of all students for discipline? Did we interview the mayor and ask them about what kind of bias training are all city staff receiving? I mean, you know, did we do those things? You know, that does fall on our shoulders.
The workshop has been around for almost 8 years. Local interest spiked after the Michael Brown shooting and Ferguson protests in 2014.
White folks actually do need to be more courageous about approaching the conversation of race. I think that they need to accept the fact that it's an uncomfortable conversation, and that's okay. Move into that space of discomfort, and from that discomfort, growth will come.
I have awareness that there's a problem now within our society and the world and within me, and that I can't sit comfortably back anymore just ignoring the issues, and I can't pretend that things are fine just because I have a few friends of color.
Hey NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.
All right. White people only. White spaces become places to work through racism. I'm going to say that again. White people only. White spaces become places to work through racism. This story was done back in December 24th of 2018 from the NBC News, and this is how it reads. Nicole O'Connor, a nurse practitioner in St. Louis, was selling her dining room table on Facebook when a prospective buyer, a black man, reached out. She told her husband not to leave her alone if the man came to see the furniture, which she didn't feel the need to say when a white woman like herself had shown interest. That was her moment of clarity. I was like, oh my God, that's racism, O'Connor, 32, said in the group of all white adults this month. So I told my husband, I'm like, I don't know what to do with this, but this is how I'm feeling. O'Connor felt vulnerable and embarrassed, but also understood that she shared the stories with 7 others sitting in a circle at a school in suburban South St. Louis. No one passed judgment. This was their white space, a concept that has been growing in communities like St. Louis, where racial incidents have prompted anger and even unrest. A stream of viral videos this year involving white people, them calling police on black people doing ordinary activities perceived as suspicious, threatening to call ICE on Spanish-speaking workers, or in racist rants, resonate in ways that have frustrated and disturbed not only minorities, but white Americans who want to make sense of what they're watching. An ABC News survey monkey poll released in May found that 64% of respondents believe racism remains a major problem in America. And while 40% of blacks said they were treated unfairly in a store or restaurant, only 7% of whites said the same. O'Connor Group is one of several that began through the Metro St. Louis chapter of the YWCA, which has focused on racial justice in a region that has been historically segregated and where blacks have faced higher rates of poverty, infant mortality, and unemployment than whites. The YWCA's program, based on the 2010 book Witnessing Whiteness, began in 2011, but interest climbed after the fatal shooting of black teenager Michael Brown. In the suburb of Ferguson in 2014, said Mary Ferguson, the chapter's racial justice director. Now, as many as 16 groups meet in school, churches, and other community spaces with up to 25 people in each. Ferguson said more than dozens more groups are set to begin meeting in January. Enrollment is free and the groups are organized by volunteers, but there remains one catch. Participants must identify as white. It was important to us that we had a group where people of color wouldn't be on the spot, wouldn't be asked to teach, wouldn't be asked to listen to white people as they struggle to understand racism. She added, Ferguson said, having a place for white people to meet also promotes a more candid conversation. The session focused on book chapters such as culture, tradition, and appropriation, and positions of privilege. One of the greatest fears that many of our participants express is the fear that they're going to offend, Ferguson said, that they are going to show their ignorance, that they are going to upset other people, and that sense it themselves. One way that they can open up the space for a conversation is to make the group all white. Such whiteness programs have been scrutinized by whites and people of color who believe the courses are their own form of segregation. University of Colorado at Colorado Springs scrapped an unmasking whiteness class in May since it was not intended for all races, the Gazette, the local newspaper, reported. But the assumption that America has moved into a post-racial space, particularly after the election of Barack Obama as president in 2008, is a fallacy, said Debbie Irving, who was white and the author of Waking Up White and Finding Myself in the Story of Race. About the concept of white privilege, this year trends of white women, in particular calling on police on black people, including a man trying to enter his own apartment building in St. Louis, and a young boy in Brooklyn, New York, wrongly accused of sexual assault, shows that white ignorance and white silence remains chronic problems in America. Irvin said O'Connor, the nurse practitioner, said she had never heard the term white privilege until this year, but through witnessing whiteness, Sessions have realized how racism can be subtle and unintentional. Not as overt as waving a Confederate flag and shouting the N-word, but real nonetheless. One chapter in the book, she told the group, made them think, wow, I'm racist? And that she used to think I was this perfect little white person in a bubble that didn't do anything bad to black people, and so I was okay. Speaking with her husband after the furniture selling incident made her see the progress she was making because she could at least recognize and vocalize her subtle racism. This class has done a lot for me in just awareness and understanding of where this exists in my life. O'Connor told the group, do I know what to do with it right now? Do I know what to do with it right now? No, but you got to start somewhere. Other people in the group were working out their own experiences. One man said the feeling of white guilt alone wasn't going to stop the shootings of black men by police. A woman wondered how she could be labeled as privileged, as she was lower middle class and worked hard just to get there. Vincent C. Fellenwillen, who is African American and the former associate director of the diversity and inclusion at St. Louis area private school that offered a witnessing whiteness program, said going through the session doesn't automatically transform someone. It's a process. But at a minimum, he said he wants white people to not call police on black people just because they're gathering in a park. Most important, he added, the outcome is that they find their voice and are able to speak to, call out, and stand up against racism. Sue Dirch, a group leader, has been trying to do just that. She began as a participant in the program in 2014 after the shooting in Ferguson. She hadn't necessarily thought of herself as racist. In fact, she and her husband had adopted 2 black sons more than 10 years ago, but again, going through the program led her to re-examine her life experiences. One time before the adoption, she said she tensed up and became fearful when she saw a young black man in a hoodie walking towards her in a parking lot. A year ago, while she was stuffing letters into a mailbox, a young black man was walking towards her again. She said she grew tense. Dirch, no stranger to being targeted when her Black Lives Matter signs were vandalized repeatedly outside of her home 3 years ago, was mortified that she had the same reaction. I had the overwhelming feeling of, oh my goodness, some of the other women could be feeling the same way about my sons, said Dirt 63. That really kind of shocked me when thinking about videos of white women calling police on black people. Gamering nicknames on social media like Pool Patrol Paula and Barbecue Becky, she sometimes wishes she could freeze frame the situations and tell them it's not your business. Take a step back, stay in your lane, go get your groceries, and go home and fix dinner. Ultimately, she said, it's easy to be critical of others, but white people can't be afraid to turn the mirror on themselves for fear of being branded as racist. For her, it's a progression, peeling back layers after layers of built-in bias. Her goal, I want to be less racist tomorrow than I am today, Dirch said. All right, that's right. You're getting live reading over here. That's right. Do what I do. Give me that light. Let me hold something. Let me hold something, right? So we got a whiteness course with only white folks in it. How that works. See, again, you're still trying to, okay, if you're going to deal with it, we get it, right? We really don't get it. But I'm just saying, we get it, right? You want to have the conversation without have to, again, they took right the words out of my own mouth. And those who watch my show, you know I say all the time, Dracula don't like to see Dracula in the mirror, right? You, again, watch the Dracula movie, he be dancing with a female, but to get by that mirror, you just see her twirl and be like, where the hell is Dracula at? Well, that's how they are. White folks is when it comes to racism. Again, you're uncomfortable. Well, if you're not guilty and you ain't done nothing, how do you feel? Think about that. How do you feel guilty if you ain't done nothing? Huh? You know, my police come there, you know, I ain't guilty, I ain't done shit. Either I know a black man's word is only as good as he said, again, guilty till proven innocent, right? Right? So here it is, you setting up where white people can fraternize, socialize, because again, the conversation that white people have when black people are around is, again, they let their hair down. But see, if a black person around, right, they apprehensive. They got say, because I don't want to be labeled. Or if you even think that you could be labeled, they already let you know that you're doing shit. You get what I'm saying? If you even think that you have to be, that lets you know what you are. So you want comfortness. That is, how can you have comfort when the other people have been oppressed by it? Have lived through whatever you're trying to now work out, other people have to live through that. And according to what we just went through from January of the 2018 to 2016 to 2019, right? We are 400 years according to your count. Ain't no trying to be sensitivity now. Either we gonna have a conversation or we not gonna have a conversation. You can't have it the way you want. This ain't what is it? Have it the way you want it, right? You can have it, fix it how you want it, right? No. You don't get to be the one that administer, and then you want to write the rule to how to make it. No. You didn't want black people. See, you know why you don't want black people? Because again, today, more black people are more astute and more knowledgeable about what done transpired than before. You would have been better off if you did it before, when it was only handfuls of people who were, again, starting up again African American studies and stuff like that. It was in the infancy stage. You could have got away with it, but now you don't want them in the room because of the long history, the historical aspect of to our existence. Right? You're not gonna be able to deal with that because of now you see the detriment of what history has transpired. Right? That's what done happened. The history done transpired, and you can see the residuals of that. So your guilt is not so much per se about what you have done, but you know the lack of what y'all have done. This is the result. And then the one dude talked about the police and about the shooting and how you can say that's their incident and I can make that has nothing to do with me, but only for reason because you adopted some black children and then you realize, oh, see, that goes back to that movie, A Time to Kill. Remember that movie, A Time to Kill? What happened when the white man raped the little girl and then Samuel Jackson did what he had to do to get the justice. And then he had, I forgot the name, McConaughey, whatever his name was, something McConaughey was his lawyer, right? And then the whole climax to the whole case came down to him doing that one little bit. He told them the whole story about what took place and transpired. The only way he could have got the white people to put themselves in the shoes is by telling that, now imagine the girl is white. Remember that? Imagine the girl is white. Oh, and then their face was like, oh, huh? But see, seeing black, it's no reality to it, right? So it's a figure of imagination or it's your fault. No. You can't write the instruction to have that conversation, right? You can't do that too. Either you're going to deal with it or you're not going to deal with it. You can't make the parameters and trying to make it seem, okay, all right, we don't have this here. No, we're not going to have that here. Oh, we sure not going to have you in here because I'm going to feel guilt. Hey, that's just what it is. If you won't change, then you have to see it straight up for what it is. Okay, since we're going there, I ain't going to go too deep on that. Matter of fact, I'm going to get, okay, since we're talking about that, let me go ahead and do this then. All right, let's go and do it. I'll let it right up into that. Let me go ahead and let's since we're talking on that, since again people talking about they have they building courses and they want to be walking on eggshells dealing with it. Well, let's take the history course right now. Let's take one right now. How about that? Let me go ahead. Let me set it up for everybody. First, let me look out in the crowd. Let me see who all up in here. Let me see how many people got in the house. I got a couple people in the house. That's good. Like seeing that. Let's see. I got a couple to see up there. Yeah. Okay. Got Kabir. Got a fella Cootie 13. What's good? Happy New Year's to you, sir. Precious Hell is still in the house. Digital King is in the house. In the day, Yuta. Tell it. All right. Yes, sir. All right. I got to do that. Well, let's get it. All right. So let me pull this up. Get it in, because what I'm saying, over here I do what most they say our people won't do. They say our people won't read. Well, guess what? Over here I'll read it for you. How about that? I'll read it for you. Right? So let me see what I got over here. Let me do this. Let me pull this up. All right, since we're talking on the aspect of all right, let me see. Pull that up. Let me pull that. Okay, here we go. There we go. Here we go. Let's get it. Since we're talking about, as I just pulled up there, right, about how they want to make a whiteness call. Again, white spaces, again, having places of confidence so they can have, again, be able to let their hair down because, again, you feeling guilty. Well, fuck all that feeling guilty. We live it. How about that shit? We've been living it. So, how about this shit? Huh? Let's get there. Let's get it there. Let's start here. You ready? Let's get it. Lincoln moved to end slavery on New Year's Day, 1863. It went on for more than 3 years. I'm going to say that again. Lincoln moved to end slavery on New Year's Day, 1863. It went on for 3 more years. This story was done also in the Washington Post. This was done on New Year's Day, 2019. This is how this reads. On New Year's morning of 1863, President Abraham Lincoln hosted a 3-hour reception in the White House. That afternoon, Lincoln slipped into his office and without fanfare signed a document that changed America forever. It was the Emancipation Proclamation decreeing that all persons held as slaves within the rebellious southern states are and henceforward shall be free. However, the proclamation did not immediately free any of the nation's nearly 4 million slaves. The biggest impact was that for the first time, ending slavery became a goal of the Union in the bloody Civil War with the Confederacy. The news sent shockwaves throughout the divided country. Southern newspapers responded with outrage. Lincoln's actions was the most startling political crime, the most stupid political blunder yet known in American history. The Richmond Enquirer thundered, "The Southern people have now only to choose between victory and death." In the North, the Cleveland Morning Leader exulted, "The day of Jubilee has arrived and all the important words, 'be free,' have been spoken." The New York Times declared, "President Lincoln's proclamation marks an era in history, not only of this war, but of the world." But some Northern whites opposed fighting for the freedom of black slaves. The Cincinnati Enquirer said Lincoln's proclamation represented the complete overthrow of the Constitution he swore to protect and defend. Free African Americans in the North celebrated the news. "We are all liberated by the proclamation," said the noted orator and former slave Frederick Douglass. "Everybody is liberated. The white man is liberated. The black man is liberated. The brave men now fighting the battle of their country against rebels and traitors are now liberated." But Douglass cautioned that the proclamation was only a first step. Slaves who celebrated the proclamation risked being beaten or hung. The proclamation was not a surprise. Lincoln had presented his draft of a preliminary order at a cabinet meeting on July 22nd of 1862. Secretary of State William Seward suggests the president wait until after the North has scored a fresh win over Southern troops before releasing the document. On September 22nd, a few days after Union forces claimed victory in the Battle of Antietam, Lincoln issued the preliminary proclamation. It stated that if Southern states did not surrender by January 1st, 1863, the president would issue a final order to make their slaves forever free. The fighting continued. Some doubted Lincoln would back up his threat, but on the afternoon of January 1st, he passed only to steady his hand before signing a final Emancipation Proclamation. I never in my life felt more certain that I was doing things right than I do signing this paper, Lincoln said. If my name goes into history, it will be for this act, and my soul is in it. Many abolitionists criticized Lincoln's action as too limited. The proclamation purported to free millions of slaves in the southern states that had seceded from the Union. It exempted 850,000 slaves in border states and part of 3 southern states that were not in rebellion. The New York Herald said of Lincoln's order, while the proclamation leaves slavery untouched where his decrees can be forced or enforced, he emancipated slaves where his decrees cannot be enforced. While Lincoln believed freeing slaves was the right thing to do, his proclamation was a strategic war measure. In the battle to defeat the Confederacy, the proclamation allowed black men to join the Union military force. Eventually, nearly 200,000 African Americans fought for the North. By making the abolition of slavery a Union goal, the proclamation also discouraged intervention by anti-slavery foreign nations such as England on the Confederate side. Lincoln, who won re-election in 1864, knew his war orders were temporary and pressed Congress to amend Constitution to end slavery forever. By January 31st, 1865, both houses of Congress passed the 13th Amendment that neither slavery or involuntary servitude shall exist in the United States. Slavery officials ended December 18, 1865 after 27 of 2/3 of the 36 states ratified the amendment. Lincoln did not live to see the culmination of his proclamation. On April 14, 1865, 5 days after the South surrendered, the president was shot and killed by Southern sympathizer John Wilkes Booth at Ford's Theater in Washington. The end of slavery was just the beginning of a long struggle by African Americans for full rights as U.S. citizens. Racial segregation in the South continued into the 1960s, and everything from public accommodations to schools. At the dedication of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. in 1922, the crowd of 50,000 people was segregated by race. As integrated crowds of more than 250,000 swarmed around the Lincoln Memorial in August of 1963 for the March on Washington, the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. began his I Have a Dream speech by praising the Emancipation Proclamation as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been scared or seared in the flames of withered injustice. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. Though the outcome was far from certain, when Lincoln signed the proclamation, one group of black Americans had faith when they met in mid-January 1863 at the Oak Grove School in Leesburg, Ohio. The group agreed on a resolution expressing hope that the proclamation would lead to the freedom for all black people in America. Should all this be accomplished, the resolution said, the name of Abraham Lincoln will ever be gratefully remembered by the colored race of America, and the 1st of January should be celebrated to our latest posterity as the most important event in all of history. That was the article. Now, okay? Is it what it is, or was it just a prop? if that was done in 1863, and then they said 1963 and 65, you started to give us civil rights. You're talking about 3 years after Lincoln did it. It went 100 years to get civil rights, right? Still in this country again, as we're talking about poor white people now want to deal with the fact that, oh, about racism, I'm not sure if, I'm racist or not, and I know we should be doing something. We've been dealing with this. Huh? Who been dealing with this more? You with your fragile mind, or the fact that we've been lynched, hung, burned, you name it, disenfranchised, held back, you name it, you done did it. Not you per se. Not you per se. But you are the beneficiaries of that insurance policy, and what your ancestors left you is that mind. But what did my ancestors leave me? They left me a lot, but I can't get nothing because you're not trying to deal with that. You still worried about how you feeling and how you gonna cope with it. Well, what about me and mines? We know that Emancipation Proclamation was nothing but just a goddamn announcement. Let's keep that shit 100. It's not a law. Huh? It's a proclamation. Get your Black's Law Dictionary, look it up. It's just an announcement. That's why the way you still see the things that's happening today is due to the fact that it was not law, and even if it was a damn law, you ain't going to adhere to it no damn way. Because you have your reasons for your biasness, right? You have your infragility of mind and, again, your superior thought. But we have been dealing with this for a long time. There's no doubt about it. We have seen the residuals of this country and this land, and then the people who are poisoned and who are becoming more sicker, trying to cope with it, and to the point that they're taking it on themselves because they believe that whatever happens then has nothing to do with today. They don't understand cause and effects. So you put the onus on these people and you say, hey, pull yourself and do like I do. I'm a low middle class person and I work hard. Well, God damn it, you got privilege. You're on the team. You got the same jersey on. You just may not be in the higher echelons of hierarchies of those in it. But when you're playing for my side of the team, you got obstacles and dodges, and you got to go through steeps and hills and quicksand and everything else. And you worried about having your mind right when we are the bearers of what you don't deal with. You have a clock of 400 years. Those of us know it's even more than that, because you can't even tell us when we came here. Now, the story that you tell when you came here, you count from that time. But again, there was other nations that was here before you too. Right? You had Spain that was already here. You had French that was already here. What do you think that was up in Louisiana? How you get the Louisiana Purchase then? How is the Floridas and all that? What was all that about? Wasn't that Spain and all that? Right? So again, the mind Jedi trick, right? The Jedi mind trick, telling us one thing and it's something else, not giving us the facts. Then they want to come with DNA tests now telling you, well, I can tell you geographical location of where your people came from. You can't tell us that those are Black Americans. You cannot. And I'm tired of people from other places trying to tell us who the hell we is. You don't know who we are. You have no idea who we are. You just know who you are and with your people. And a matter of fact, most of you can't even tell me who the hell you are from where you come from. But you always trying to tell me and my people who the hell we are. Mind your business. And everybody trying to tell us when we talking about reparations and all that, y'all not getting no shit. Of course you don't want us to get nothing because you ain't getting shit. You ain't paid nothing to this land. We gave every goddamn thing, that everything that this motherfucker been got. We gave it to you. Goddamn, it's 400 years. We gonna tell you from that time right there, right? That's what we talking about. Don't talk about something. You trying to get your mind right to deal with it. We've been dealing with it. You don't want to deal with it. You want it at your own terms. You own it. You want to write the one. No. Enough shit is enough. You've been bullshitting us from day one. The motherfucker who gave you the most to this motherfucker is the motherfucker you don't deal with the most. And you try to run their ass in the ground. You're running them in the goddamn ground. They gave you so goddamn much and you're running them in the goddamn ground. At the expense of what you don't want to face. But again, as I keep telling you, you ain't got to do it now. Ain't got nothing to do with fuck right now. So you can have your glory now. But you know what them words say? Vengeance. Vengeance. All that has happened prior to now, you shall pay. You shall reap what you sow. You shall reap what you sowed. You keep all that shit that you keep doing to us. You keep putting the onus on my people. My people getting crazier because they think that the cause and effect is their own. I'm here to tell you, it's not you. You don't know no better. They lied to you. They put it in books. They'll put it in videos. But they will never take the responsibility. They say it's too big to fail, right? When Obama got in, the banks was too big to fail. Well, black people must be too big to pay, too big to honor, too big in everything. So you know what you do? Run them in the ground. Run them until they run out of existence. You'll be better than. That's the best way for you to deal with it. Mix them up. Make them crazy. Incarcerate them. Kill any spirit that show any resemblance of anything that has any honor and grace and give glory to what has come before it. That's how you deal with it. Fuck, I care about your fragile ass mind. We been dealing with that shit. Ancestors came, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. For those who might be offended, I ain't fucking sorry. You deal with that shit. We've been dealing with it for 400 fucking years. Y'all talk all this bullshit about how somebody taking your country and all that. It's a lot of fucking bullshit. You did everything not to deal with them people. You use every trick on your own people to make them think some bullshit. The truth of the matter, whatever the fuck you think you got, no matter how great you think you are, we right there. And that's what taints your perfection. Huh? It's like having a white ass suit on. Huh? You are in your house, getting ready to take yourself, maybe you going to church, maybe you going to a concert or something, you doing something, maybe you going to dance with it. You got on a white ass suit. One of the babies had a damn piece of paint, a little cup of paint, and fucked around and fell, and it got in the fan, and then, you know what I'm saying, you seen the baby fail, you knew, and you jumped, and you got out the way, but just one motherfucking big ass spot got on you. Huh? Huh? No perfect. No perfect. No, you don't get no perfect, right? You got a blemish on your record. And that blemish keep you from being what you believe to be supremacist or supreme because of that blemish, and it don't go away. Huh? You got to go in there, you got to get some bleach, you got to wash it, you got to get some Tide, you got to, huh? But, it don't go away. You had some scotch with that stain guard on. Do you have some stain guard? You ain't got no stain guard on that shit, right? You ain't got no stain guard on there. So you got to deal with it. All right, y'all. 2019 here. I told you I'm coming hard for the whole 400. Right? That's what y'all gonna give us, 400, right? All right. That's story one. That's the story number one. Look out here and see what's going on out here. Oh, shit. Motherfuckers done ran up out of here. And motherfuckers is running. If you want to change, Federal Code 1360 said, if you want to change, you have to look the truth in the eyes. You want to? You got no. Well, you know, they can't do that. Can't do that because you know what you see, what you caused. It's too much, huh? It's too much. See, it's cool to sit there and sit back and just say, well, them people are so fucked up, man. Look at them killing themselves and doing all this shit and doing all this shit. But you know how that shit got there. And again, as that story that said probably before, they talked about how they're oblivious or they're ignorant. You're not ignorant. You're not ignorant at all. That's bullshit. You're not ignorant. You know exactly what it is. But you choose not because, again, you have your reasons. So moving on. Got another one for you. Right? All right, let's go. Well, since I talked about that 16-9, I should have probably went there first, but I had to touch that one there, right? I had to touch that one, right? Now I'm going to take a break on that one. I'll come back on that one. Now I'm going to take a little break. Let me get some more news. Matter of fact, how about that seeing this today? I seen this today, huh? Yeah, what about this? Did y'all see this? Let me play this. Right? You know they're going to ban my ass. Hold on, come on, get over there.
The bearded ones, as they were called, rode into Havana on the 1st of January 1959 on a wave of optimism after overthrowing the repressive Batista regime. It was a new dawn. Many didn't expect them to survive long, especially as the United States actively tried to undermine Fidel Castro's government, most notably backing the failed 1961 Bay of Pigs invasion and imposing an economic blockade that survives to this day. Stella Coloni was a friend of Castro's.
The 1959 revolution was a historic continuation of the liberation wars, the wars of independence. Cubans have always been fighting against Spanish colonialism and then against U.S. interference.
Cuba, led by Fidel, then his brother Raúl, and now Miguel Díaz-Canel, has constantly adapted to changing circumstances, embracing help from the Soviet Union, then turning to tourism and special measures when the Soviet Union collapsed, and now allowing the growth of private enterprise, albeit cautiously, reluctantly.
We've made progress, I have to say, but we're still a long way from accepting the fact that we need it, and we actually have to do lots of different things to nurture the private sector, because that's also positive, not only for the economy, but also for the lives of a majority of the Cuban people.
About 13% of the workforce has gone private, often deserting low-paid state sector jobs to work in the more lucrative tourist industry, an industry selling visions of a socialist dream. This man, Che Guevara, died in Bolivia in 1967, trying to spread Cuba's brand of socialism throughout Latin America. Although he failed, his influence is still felt, if not at government level, then at trade union and social movements throughout the region. And of course in Cuba itself, the country the Argentine adopted as his home. Cubans will vote on the referendum in February on the kind of socialism they'd like to see in a revised constitution. Perhaps more market reforms and increased foreign investment.
What I'd like to know, what I question is, what kind of socialism are we talking about? I consider myself a socialist. That doesn't mean it can be imposed at a constitutional level on the whole world. The people who run the country today may have a different interpretation of socialism tomorrow, and saying something is not socialist could be enough to restrict someone's constitutional rights.
Its allies in the region are disappearing. Brazil, for instance, sending Cuban medics home. Venezuelan oil drying up. But Cuba says its socialist flame, 60 years on, still burns bright, that they'll continue to defy the odds and survive and thrive. Daniel Schweimler, Al Jazeera.
All right, 60. Cuba got 60 years in the game, right? Cuba, right? You know, they're doing all that fighting too, right? I got an article in here, I think, in here. Let me see if I can pull it up. Let's see. Let's see what I did with that, y'all. Again, you got too many people on this YouTube who ain't black Americans, and I've been watching for the last 2 days since I couldn't get on, and no one seemed to even want to address the fact of that. So that lets me know that most of you really ain't cut from there, are you? Not really cut from there. I know we're a small group now in this land. Everybody's so mixed up and everybody trying to be somebody else other than themselves, right? Let me see what I did with that article, y'all. I got that up in here. And I pulled that up. Give me 1 second, y'all. Let me see what I did with that. Don't get scared, y'all. It is what it is. No harm, no foul. All right, let's see. Where's this 60 at? Shit. Really? Okay, I can't. What I did with that? Hold on, y'all. Give me 1 second. I got that in there. Where's the other one at? Let's see. Really? Or maybe it's on. Hold on. Let me do this. Maybe it's on here. Hold on. Let me see. No. Really? All right, let me try this then. All right, let me do this, y'all. I got you. Just give me 1 quick second, okay? Stuff I had to do in the background. And throw you off your square little taste because I got to do so much. I'm a one-man band over here. And, oh, here you go. I got it right here. There you go. All right, so it says, Cuba celebrates 60 years since Castro's communist revolution. Say that again. Cuba celebrates 60 years since Castro's communist revolution. This was done in Al Jazeera yesterday, which is January the 2nd, 2018. And this is how it reads. Cuba has celebrated the 60th anniversary of its communist revolution with its leader, Raul Castro, criticizing the United States for returning to an outdated path of confrontation with the island's nation. Castro, who stepped down as president in April but remains the leader of the Communist Party until 2021, spoke on Tuesday in Santiago de Cuba at the grave of his brother Fidel Castro, Cuba's revolutionary leader who died in 2016. Increasingly senior officials of the United States President Donald Trump administration, with the complicity of some lackeys, disseminate new falsehoods and once again seek to blame Cuba for all of its ills of the region, he said in the presence of Cuba's current president, Miguel Diaz-Canel. After the restoration of diplomatic ties and a friendlier tone under the former administration of United States President Barack Obama, once again the United States government seems to take the course of confrontation with Cuba, he said. Clad in military fatigues and cap, the 87-year-old Castro said that Cuba had proven throughout 6 decades of revolution it could not be intimidated by threats. Instead, it remains open, he said, to peaceful and respectful coexistence. On January 1st, 1959, Fidel Castro overthrew a U.S.-backed authoritarian leader, Fulgencio Batista, and installed a communist-run country on the doorsteps of the United States, setting the scene for decades of Cold War hostility. Currently, Cuba remains one of the only a handful of communist states left in the world and has been under a U.S. economic embargo since 1962. Abroad, Cuba's government has faced heavy criticism for its authoritarian nature, intolerance of opposition, and persecution of detractors. Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton said in November that Washington would take a tougher line against Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua, calling them a troika of tranny. All right, so Cuba is celebrating this 60 years of its so-called communist revolution. Again, those who understand history, I guess about the Bay of Pigs used to be part of, and then they broke off and said, fuck it, this is our shit, we're going to keep it, right? And so they kept it all this time. Been 60 years since they did that, right? So we've seen that President Barack Obama was in office, that they made some kind of alliance, and then, you know, start opening up, and now, you know, just a matter of time, right? They know what it is, right? It's a matter of motherfucking time. And so, you know, sometimes the fight is worth it, and, you know, then there's always the end of eras of, you know, how empires stand, right? I mean, that's just history, right? And so, again, just depending on how you look at it, because, again, you have two sides to that story, because some people look at, again, when Fidel was running it, right? You had those people who were against what was being, and then you had those who were pro, who were for it, right? And, you know, there's also, I'm going to get my book, I got that book where Malcolm and Fidel Castro had a meeting, right? You know, they tried to work some things out again, but again, I don't think they really got too much, because, you know, again, they considered communists, right? And, you know, and, you know, goes all the way back to, again, with the missile crisis war, right? And, or I won't say war, but, you know, the missile crisis that they had, and that whole thing then. And so, you know, think about Cuba, then you got Haiti, you know, all the little those over there, man. They try to do what they try to do to maintain, but again, being embargoed, kind of hard if you got natural resources and things, but you can't get them out, or basically, really, the other nations that are controlling other places won't deal with you and, you know, put your country to be in a poverty-stricken state. But, you know, they did what they did to maintain themselves all that time, right? You know, used to be a time where they didn't allow their players to even come over here and play in the major leagues, but then, you know, they, you know, started putting a lot of good players in, and it became a little tunnel, and then you had some that would, you know, come over again, and, you know, how they do to get you come over here and talk bad about where you came from again. That would be like some people here. You know, you get some people that go some other place, they have some good things to say, and then there's some people who have bad things to say. But again, you know, that's just it. You know, they took a stance, right? They worked for a mug, and they took the stance, and then they held it off, right? And again, depending on what side of the coin you're looking at it from, some people will commend them, and some people will say that was a travesty, tyranny, or betraying, or whatever you want to call it, traitorous, whatever you want to call it, right? That was history, right? You know, and as time go on, the inevitable happens to us all. So, again, Cuba is celebrating its 60th year of its existence of when it originally, you know, took its land, right? But it's slowly going, right? I mean, Raul was already 87, so, you know, time goes on. All right, so what else I got in here, right? What else I got in here? Well, since we talked, well, check this out. I've seen this too, right? Again, you know, I talk a lot about that. I go international, right? I go back over to the continent, right? And so I seen Uhura say some stuff that he was talking about today. I was like, okay, really? Okay, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. Again, the same thing, just like we talking about Cuba, you know, right? Same thing, right? You're being swallowed up. You actually being surrounded, right? So he had something to say. So let me play this for you. I'll be right back.
You want a copy of the contract? My friend, I'll get it to you tomorrow. And if you prove your point that it exists, that there is anywhere, yeah, then you will have a point.
Okay.
Tafadhali jameni, hii mambo ya porojo. Jameni, hii watu ya porojo.
I wanted clarification. Kenya wasiwe na wasiwasi. Hii ni porojo tu.
Porojo kabisa.
Okay. Manake wameangalia mifano.
What exists is a contract between Kenya Railways and the Kenya Railways and Kenya Ports, ya kwamba watasafirisha mizigo where possible, right, on the SGR. Okay. By the way, today leo hii tukiongea 2018 ile tulikuwa tumekubaliana na wale ambao ni wa China ambao walitupatia hii mkopo, tulikuwa tuwe tunasafirisha 6 trains kati ya Mombasa na Nairobi. Leo hii, my friend, tumefika kiwango ya 2020 where we are moving approximately 11 to 12 trains every day. My friends, we are ahead of our payment schedule. Ahead, yeah, of our payment schedule. Na hii ni mambo kama mwataka, kwa sababu hakuna kitu ya kuficha. Bandari iko hapa, mngojee, wacha turuke mwaka niwapeleke hapa mkitaka mwende. Tusimame hapa kwa sababu moja, mbili, tatu.
Mr. President, I think in your first term I asked you whether Kenya is going to look east or west, and you said Kenya is looking neither east nor west.
Exactly.
Bilateral debt, Kenya's bilateral debt, China accounts for 57%, 534.1 billion shillings. Some economists say that could be detrimental to Kenya, being settling in debt with only one country taking the lion's share.
No,
what would you say about it?
We are not, and I have repeated this. I was asked that question just the other day, and I made it very clear. We are not tied to any country, but we are working together with those who appreciate and understand Kenya's developmental needs. China being one of them, right? China being one of them. And China is a very, very strong supporter of Kenya's development agenda, right? Just as is the World Bank, just as is the government of Japan, just as is France, just as is Germany, yeah. All right? And we will continue to work with these partners. What China actually has done, right? And towards this, by the way, even when I visited the United States earlier this year, right? It was a question that was being posed to me. Why are you all going to China, right? And I explained, it is because China is opening their eyes, yeah, and meeting Kenya and indeed most of Africa at their point of need and what they require, right? And I said, and they're looking at developing different financial packages, yeah, all right, that can fit into what we can afford. Right? And actually, yeah, to be honest, right, today, right, as a result of our own session, the United States has actually come up with their own products, right, where they are now looking at supporting their own companies to the tune of $60 billion, right, to support, right, their companies doing business in Africa, right? Because they actually got the point. They're saying, okay, yeah, because we're saying, look, yeah, China is supporting their company. That's
See, it's the difference. It's the difference when you live outside, right? Let's say, for instance, there's a difference between living, right? Like somebody trying to tell you about the United States, like somebody telling us about Africa. We can read, right? You can read, you can get news, but we don't know the internalness, right? We don't know all the ins and outs. And again, we don't have the mindset because we don't grow up in those environments and communities and tribes, right? But when you start mentioning somebody else and we looking at it like, uh-oh, you ain't seen that coming? Well, let me read the article what it said first, right? Uhuru pushes for more trade with China during Shanghai trip. I'm going to say that again. Uhuru pushes for more trade with China during Shanghai trip. This story was done in Daily Nation, right? And this is how it reads. It says that President Uhuru Kenyatta has invited Chinese firms to form joint ventures with local companies to create more manufacturing bases. While acknowledging China's leading role as trading partners in Kenya's economy, the president said his administration will give priority to trade and investment opportunities that lend support to the government Big Four agenda, especially on manufacturing. China now ranks as the #1 trading partner with Kenya, accounting for 17.2% of Kenya's total trade with the world. I would like to encourage more firms to establish joint ventures with Kenya entrepreneurs and to increase the content of locally produced goods and services in their projects and industries. He said in Shanghai, where he gave a keynote address to the inaugural China International Import Expo. China, a resource-hungry economy, has in recent years made inroads in African nations, including Kenya. The president's remarks coincide with the announcement by one China's largest tile manufacturing firm, Kita Ceramics, that is planned to expand its operation in Kenya with the launch of the third phase of its production plant in Kajiado. In a statement, the firm said it will invest $2.5 billion in that phase, pushing the total investment in the country to about $8.1 billion since 2016 and adding 500 more jobs from 2019. This investment is expected to be a major boost to the country's manufacturing and housing sector, said the firm's administrative manager Ryan Chin. On Monday, President Kenyatta asked his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping to enact measures which can raise the value of goods coming from Africa to China. He asked for more Chinese firms to invest locally, saying Kenya has one of the most conducive business environments in Africa. All right, so again, as I said, as an observer, right, reader, right, some history to it, right, but I don't know all the internalness. But from observation and what I'm hearing being said, it makes all that sound like a good thing, that somebody is investing heavily to put their companies in your economy. Right? And I guess that's good. I mean, you know, the government get taxed, but then eventually, you know, they will start my opinion would be this. So they're gonna allow people to come in building up, you know, major, you know, business and corporations. Again, nobody makes business not for profit, and nobody builds business and make money to not again facilitate and help one's family or nation. So as time will go on, right, what happened is the demographics will start to change and fluctuate because, you know, again, number one thing is self-preservation is what? Taking care of self and family. You don't see that there eventually that's going to be like the bridge or the underground movement to get, you know, other people up into there. Are you just blinded with the money and the figures that, again, like I said, you know, about building infrastructures and all that, and then come to find out later on that they're going to end up you building it for them to take over. Again, it's not my business. I'm just an observer, right? We got my own problems here in this own land, right? I know a lot of enthusiasts who, you know, again want to be advocates or, you know, I guess you could say that, avid people who try to, you know, want to be participants that's going on in Africa. Without any kind of military and none of that shit is impossible, right? You can only observe. Even if you went and try to put investments in, again, you dealing with nations. You just individualisms. I mean, if people on the continent can't even do it, huh? You got issues here, depending on what side of the coin. When you say you part of the black people here, you got issues here. You got shit here that you're trying to get straightened out, ironed out. You know what I'm saying? Again, I'm not against it, and I know those who advocate for it. I get it, but again, some of them is because, again, I'm gonna just say this: there's a lot of people who do that, who advocate and talk like that. They're only first generation, and as a matter of fact, I never understood that anyway. I had this conversation with a family member, and we were talking about how does one who, let's say, for instance, a person is born, parent is born in China, and the other one born in Europe, right? But they have a baby here. How does that one become an American? What happened to the biologicalness of your ancestry? What happened to who your parents is, right? How does you get cloaked this, but that's not who you really are? You get what I'm saying? Do anybody get what I'm saying? So you be redefined with what you really not. And so that's what happens is you have a lot of people who are considered American citizens, but actually are descendants of wherever they people came from. But they advocate here and try to persuade the black Americans of this landmass that what they tell them is true. Yes, you might have research. Yes, you do what you do. But no, you can't tell us because, again, you are outside of not being inside of what we know. We ain't telling what we heard. We tell you what we know. You telling you what you read and what, again, we know certain things better than you do because we've been amongst somebody. You know how you around somebody after a while, you get to see them and you know them and somebody talk about them, you be like, you know if that's them or not. Well, we know. We've been here. They told us in January, 400 years. Well, we know it's longer than that. Well, we had 400 years. Who gonna tell us anything that we can't tell you about them? Who? You first generation? Oh, you just got here? You just got here? Oh, you was the first one born in your family, and now you two generations, one generation? You don't know nothing about here. You ain't got no roots in here. So that's why you don't understand the game here. Right? Again, that's not me trying to be like, okay, like we family in the family of when it comes to that, but when you come out here, it's a different game. That's why you won't see them on their channels talking about this, because they don't have no ties in blood. And when you ain't got no ties in blood, then you can say anything and talk about anything and try to gravitate to anything, but we know who we are. That's why everybody hate us. We the only people out here who got real identity in this land. We know who we are and what we get and what we contribute. Fuck what everybody else saying. Who the fuck is you? Where you come from? Talk about the history where you came from. Quit trying to tell me about who the fuck I am. That's your problem. And see, the problem is because a lot of y'all be looking at people that come from there and you act like they too stupid and you gonna tear them. And then you hear out some of the mouths be, oh, black people did, black people that. No, what about your people? What about your people? We peoples, yes, but there is that's why there's hyphenations on names, right? That's why you can put everybody umbrella and say African American, meaning that every person that you see with dark skin somehow genetically descend back to the continent. We can agree on that. But then you could be, your parents could have came from Guatemala. Your parents could have came from Honduras. Your people could have came from Trinidad. Your people could have came from Jamaica. You understand? But that's who you are. But you come here and you saying you like me. You're not like me. And that's not to put you down. I'm just saying you not like me. There's a little difference between you and me. My ancestry, when we talk about here, my ancestry put in work. You ain't putting no work in here. But y'all always trying to tell us some shit. Man, cut that shit, man. You gotta get out of here with that bullshit. So that's the same thing. We see what's going over there. We can tell you about what that game, because we done been around him long enough. He's still pulling the same old game. You know his game don't change. He reheats a lot of shit. He'll change the name up, but it'd be the same shit. We'd be like, those who know, see shit, same ass game. He ain't changed. He don't know how to change. He do the same game because he know that shit work. That's why he didn't fuck with you, right? Meaning us. He didn't fuck with us. He went and got a new motherfucker. Right? He keep bringing new motherfucker, new motherfucker, new motherfucker, new motherfucker. And that way he don't have to deal with you because you up on the game. You get what I'm saying? He keep getting a new motherfucker because he don't have to deal with you because he can't pull that game with you no more. And so the new motherfucker come here trying to tell you, oh, look, see how I got everything? And you ain't get it? No, nigga, because what you got, we wouldn't have did. We done did that already. Huh? Well, black people, you don't want to work. You don't want to do it. Well, we done did that already, motherfucker. Shit. We done did that already. We're going to keep doing the same ass shit. And if we did do it, then what would you get? Matter of fact, I think there ought to be a motherfucking tax. Y'all need to be allocating to us. A lot of them will come from somewhere else. I think y'all need to be allocating a tax to black Americans. There need to be a tax, black American tax. That all y'all come from somewhere else. Y'all paying them they tax for being here, but y'all got a tax for us for allowing y'all to come here to take place of shit that we supposed to be getting. How about that shit? How about that shit? Yeah, I'm saying the shit. 400 years in. I got 400 years. Nigga, what you got? Show me your hand. I got 400 years in it. What you got? Cut that bullshit. Anyway, moving on. I'm gonna say the other ones for tonight, cause I am coming back on tonight. I ain't gonna get no. So I get the stories out of the day, and I got the history tonight. So I'm gonna be on, unless they do what they do to keep me off. I'm gonna be on, cause you see the other parts of the story. I got the Ghanaian. I got 1619. Right? I don't want to do all that now. Kind of put enough as it is. Did enough as it is. Already up to 2.5 hour mark. I don't want to go too much longer. They'll make sure I get in 2 for the day. So. Let me look out here. We'll see what in the crowd right quick. Peace all the 4 Thomases in the house. Philip Kuti 1360 still in the house. Going? Okay. And that's good. So, okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and call it because, again, I got to do something else. Some of this came up, so I got to make this move. But I want to appreciate everybody who did come here today. Do what you do. Give them a little, support, whether you hit that like button or not. Hey, you get out of here. You ain't supposed to be in here while I'm on it live. Get out of here. You get out of here. Get. Go. Get out of here. Get. Hold on. I'll turn the mic up. Shorty up in here. Get out of here, boy. So, again, I'll be back on later on. I ain't going to say specify the time, but I will be back on to do the second part to this show here about the history part that you see on there. I'm going to have the same theme, but it's just going to be the other parts to it. So, again, see their brothers, sisters out there, get an international nod. You know what it is, fam. That's what we are. And, again, one love to each one. 400 years we done put in. We got more time than that. But they try not to count again, you know, what they trying to do. They trying to, you know, trying to short you on your hours. You know how it is, you get a check sometime and you be like, damn, you ain't give me all my money. Well, that's how they doing with this 400 years. But we're going to clean all that up. We're going to put it on the record, but what it really is. So, again, say black, peace, love, and all that. Hit me up fresh afterwards. Okay? So, peace and love to the second show later on, y'all. It's all good. So, till then, black love.
You